just to get loans without plans.
Oh yeah, Taifale is saying 6,000 per second. I did see
Per second.
the Daily Nation says 600
Honestly.
on page, let me counter check. That is on page what? That is on page 7, right? Do you see that? On page 7 of the Daily Nation. It says 600 number of borrowing requests per second Kenyans made after the Hustler Fund launch. 600 per second, Renee? Surprising?
Not surprising, but a bit of a problem. What does it say about an economy that is so desperate for cash that the minute that a fund is launched, you will have that number of applications, number one. Number two, what happens in the event of default? And that's where we need to really be looking. First, it says to our formal financial institutions, there's a gap that they are not addressing that is so desperate to be met that as soon as a fund is launched, people will be going for it. Whether it's 600 or 6,000, it portends to a gap in the market. But two, what are the safeguards in the event that payment isn't made, which is where the other funds have fallen foul? What happens to people, especially in these kidogo economies, you know, in our hustler economy? What happens next to them? And in an environment where, as you have reported yourself, only 9% of us are in formal, pensionable employment. We need to think of a solution that allows for funding for small businesses and scaling for businesses to grow a lot faster than just, you know, a fund. It's a great fund. I don't knock it. It's fantastic. But we've got to think what happens beyond the 50,000 as businesses grow. Number two, what happens in default?
All right. Winnie, does it surprise you? I introduced you before you got here. Let me reintroduce you. At this point, we have Winifred Okumu, and she is from the Africa Youth Trust. Were you one of these 600 per second, perhaps?
Not really. Thank you very much, Oli, for hosting me. And personally, I'll talk on behalf of youths. And I know that number, actually, majority of them are youths. And that one tells us that there's a big crisis in Kenya, because if it was launched yesterday, and already within that duration of time, we already have how many applicants? 6,000. So that means there's a big problem. And then the way my colleague is also saying about it is there. What about repayment? And we know the penalty that it's already there. If you can't pay within 14 days, what happens? And this is something that we've even seen with other loans that are online. And you find some of the youths are even throwing, after they default, they throw the number. So are we really addressing the issue? And again, when this hustle fund, because my worry is, was there public participation towards it so that you also get the views of the citizen? Was there public participation that was done? So those are some of the things that we really have to look at it when you're looking at sustainability, because I'm aware we also have got other funds, Affirmative Action Fund, we have WEZO Fund, we have National Government Affirmative Fund, we have Youth Enterprise Development Fund. Are they really helping? Did they do evaluation to find out if these other funds are really supporting the youths? And if not, what are some of the challenges and how can we address such challenges? So I'm seeing there's a very, very big problem with this fund.
Okay, I think in terms of what happens if you don't repay, my understanding was it will impact your future capability to access credit, because it impacts your credit score. Because that was the direction we're moving, right? Away from the blacklist towards having a credit score. Rachel Nakitare appeared next to, she's joining us virtually, was next to Betty there on that screen. But she did warn me that the internet, she's in Addis Ababa, and she wasn't too sure about the internet connection. So we'll work to resolve that. Let me move us along. On the front page of The Standard, Hustler Game Changer. Let's see, dream comes true, and sticking with his campaign promise, President William Ruto launches the Hustler Fund that will see borrowers access credit and at an all-time low interest rate of 8% a year. The low-income earners will not only benefit from the loans, but also save part of what they are borrowing. Front page of The Star. What do they have? Phone lines busy as millions dash for Hustler cash. 8 million Kenyans previously blacklisted get second chance to access loans. What you need to know about Ruto's Hustler Fund. Hustlers to use SMS short code *254# To access the loan, maximum limit to be 50,000 shillings for personal loans. No guarantor or security required. Loans to be repaid within 14 days. Loan limit to be determined by borrower's credit score. Loan interest capped at 8% per year, only accessible to one mobile number. Once you default, you can access again after full repayment. So there we have it. We're talking about what happens in the event you default. 5% of borrowed funds to go to a savings scheme. Do forgive me. Individuals to access up to 500,000 shillings from February 2023. And from April 2023, groups to borrow up to 10 million shillings. All right, so I will leave the dailies at that point, transition us onto our conversation.